Georgia could not be this close without purging votes, or voters, actually. Greg Palast drops by to explain how it works. Check it out, leave your comments, ding the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. Around the country are asking the question, how did this election get so close? I thought the polls showed that Democrats were way ahead of Republicans all across the country, and that Joe Biden was walking away with it, beating Donald Trump by 10 points. What the hell happened? Are we showing this in Georgia? Are we showing this in Nevada? Are we showing this all over the country? What's going on? Greg Palast is on the line with us, investigative journalist, author of How Trump Stole 2020, gregpalast.com, Palast.com, of course, his website, and like mine's got an underscore in it, Greg_Palast. Greg, welcome back. Tell us, why is it that in these states where the polls show Democrats winning overwhelmingly, the actual vote count is showing a damn tight race?
Well, because the Democrats did win overwhelmingly if you count all the votes and let all the voters vote. So, for example, in Georgia, just looking at the numbers, there are Trump's ahead by 14,000 votes, but 50,000 votes have yet to be counted in Atlanta. So, you know, he should be pulling away with it in the end if they don't challenge those votes. Remember, what's left are mail-in ballots, and about 1 in 5 get challenged. Now, whether those challenges will succeed, I don't know. But here's the thing. Stop rending your cloth. Stop crying, pollsters. You got it right. It was a blue wave. They just didn't let everyone vote who should. For example, we had my report for the ACLU said 198,351 voters, nearly 200 grand of voters, were blocked from the voter rolls illegally. That made the difference. The purges were massive. The only reason why Michigan and Wisconsin, and in Georgia, 198,000 illegally removed. We've talked, famously about Martin Luther King's 92-year-old cousin among them, and I said wrongly removed. We checked, this could cost the Senate because Ossoff walking away in Georgia, and it's a nail biter. I think he's going to fall short. They're going to make sure he falls short. In North Carolina, we had massive purges of the voter rolls in North Carolina. 313,000 taken out in Michigan. That's why that was a squeaker. Why should it be a squeaker? You've got Motown there. You've got the UAW. It shouldn't be a squeaker. So it's about blocking voters from voting is number one, and not counting ballots. Tom, when I'm with BBC and we report an election in Britain, you say 500 votes for the Tories, 700 for Labour, and 26 ballots were not counted for the following reasons. We don't have any of that discussion of the ballots not counted and the people blocked from voting. 4 years ago, we had 925,000 provisional ballots thrown in the garbage. I didn't remember a single report from the media. And when they're doing the polling, they don't account for those votes that are not counted. The pollsters ask if the exit pollsters, did you vote? They can't ask you, did your vote count? They don't know.
Right. So in Georgia, for example, somebody goes to vote. They're told, sorry, you're not on the voter rolls, but the 2002 Help America Vote Act requires me to give you a ballot. So here is a provisional ballot. The person votes the provisional ballot, hands it back in, thinks that they voted. They walk out, talk to the exit pollster, tell them that they voted. What happens to that provisional ballot?
Well, the chance about 40% that it's going to be thrown in the garbage. And if you're not on the voter rolls, like Mrs. Christine Jordan, I did suggest she go back in and at least fill out a provisional ballot, but it was not counted. This is the problem. You have these political hacks, like in Georgia, Brad Raffin's Purger. That's really his name, Mr. Purger. And, they are violently, ethnically cleansing the voter rolls. And by the way, the only reason why Biden has Wisconsin, and the only reason he may end up being president, is because of Mandela Barnes, the Democratic lieutenant governor, who raised hell about massive illegal purges that were about to happen in Wisconsin. The legislature required the state to remove 129,000 voters. My team, Mandela Barnes, brought us in. My team went through the list. We found it was a phony list. The state said, we are not going to purge these voters. They'd already come to that conclusion. We showed them the evidence. So they literally said, we're not going to follow this law. It's in court, but because they stalled the GOP, those voters got to vote. And again, in Wisconsin, I just want to mention this. These are not illegal voters, despite what Agent Orange, your commander-in-chief, says. These are voters simply attempting to vote while black. Again, I brought up Sequana Taylor, this supervisor in Milwaukee County was going to be removed because she supposedly left Milwaukee. She's the county supervisor. But again, voting while black. Because of the resistance by the Democratic and leadership, and particularly the African-American activist Mandela Barnes, it's not a minor part of this discussion. Black folk were really fighting over these issues. Wisconsin was saved for Biden. It's not a matter of whether you're for or against Biden. It's a matter of the voters in Wisconsin actually got to choose this time, unlike 4 years ago. So Biden's going to squeak that one through. But I'm very concerned about the purges. And then finally, I'm also concerned about the non-count of mail-in votes. We're not being told how many votes have been rejected. And we need to find that out. 1.9 million votes that were cast in precinct in 2016 were rejected. And I'm very concerned about the mail-in ballots. And that's what Trump is going to court to do, to try to stop the count of the ballots. I said he said he wanted to stop the voting. I know that was his dream, but he may still try to stop the count. Same thing.
Yeah. I heard there was one commentator on TV last night who kept saying stop the vote, or that they're trying to count stop the vote, and I was like, stop the count. That's what's really going on. It's the count. It's not the vote. So, Greg, has the Democratic Party figured this out?
Well, I can tell you, I've spoken to John Ossoff. He gets it right away. I know Kamala Harris has told a member of our team that it keeps her up at night. But you've got an African American. That's an African American official. Let's not forget what may be our first female vice president. So it does keep her up at night. But how many white politicians are kept up at night, I can't tell you, and whether they're ready to react. And now, again, in Wisconsin, I think the fact that you had Mandela Barnes made a difference. But in Michigan, it got close because the Democrats just didn't reverse the policies of the Republicans. They didn't purge more voters, but they did not act and think about putting back 313,000 Michigan voters who had been purged from the vote rolls by the GOP under just the most cockamamie excuses to get rid of voters of color. It was ugly, but it has not been reversed. So are they awake? I talked to the head of the National Bar Association, which is basically your African-American Bar Association, and she says, we still have tons of education to do with the politicians, including the Democrats, on protecting these votes.
Now, when the votes are being counted, when mail-in ballots are being counted, the first step is to look at the outside of the envelope at the signature and compare it with the signature in the voter registration book, just like they do when you show up in person. That's a biometric way of, it's very, very difficult to fake a signature. And a lot of these get rejected. Are the people who are overseeing this, is there like a Democrat and a Republican, and they can challenge it, and the Republican might say, oh, that's from Atlanta, I'm going to challenge that. Or the Democrat might say, hey, that's from rural, Georgia, I'm going to challenge that. Or is it a nonpartisan process entirely?
Well, we have 52 voting jurisdictions in America with 52 different rules. And they're all different. And one of the problems is, so let me give you a stat that's pretty ugly. In 2016, we had 141,000 mail-in ballots rejected over someone challenging a signature. Now, we don't have 141,000 forgery experts in America. So why are they rejecting these ballots? And overwhelmingly, it's 300% more likely you lose your ballot if you're black or Hispanic than if you're white. That's the problem. Right. The challenges are going against Democrats of color.